Liverpool are close to agreeing a mega money deal for Ibrahima Konate from RB Leipzig. Smash the like button, hit the share button. Let's go, people. Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Thank you very, very much for tuning in. Liverpool close to agreeing a deal, a £40 million deal for Ibrahima Konate from RB Leipzig. David Ornstein and Christian Falk have confirmed this morning. Chelsea are also in the running for the player as well. Very exciting times as we move towards the end of the season. It seems like a lot of deals clubs are trying to get done early, especially for players that have buyout clauses such as this. We're going to delve into it in more details, take your calls as well. I do want to speak Chelsea on this. I want to speak Chelsea as well because I'm intrigued to know what they think. Upamecano was a target that they had to move away from. They moved now towards Ibrahima, and it now looks like Liverpool. Who is the next choice going to be? There were muted rumors last week, very early rumors and embers last week, that Jules Koundé could be the individual, could be the player that they look towards going after. Could we be about to see that transfer rumor pick up a little bit of heat as well? Liverpool fans, what is your reaction? What is your reaction to this news? I want to hear now. And my earphones have gone really mad, you know. I can only hear out of one side today, so that's going to be interesting for us. But there we go. Smash the like and share button, as we always say. The link's going to be shared on the Discord server as well. 40 million euros, Terry. Get it right. Okay, cool. 40 million euros, 40 million pounds. We're not gonna cry over a few cracked eggs there. But I want to know what you think and feel about the player. Is that a good signing for Ibrahima? Is it Konata? Is it Konata? Is that I'm going to get Google Translate here.
Ibrahima Konate.
Konate. I'm going to get that right eventually. I'm terrible with names in general. It says it's funny how people judge on one game. If you've never saw Ronaldo and saw him against Porto for the first time, you would think he was trash. Upamecano is very good. I think Upamecano and Konate are both very talented young players. I think neither are the finished article. I think both are going to take time to just develop and reach the levels that their ability and potential suggests they can reach. But very rarely are defenders the finished and completed article at 20, 21, 22, 23. It very much is a position that takes you until 25, 26 to really find that consistency. It's a position that is so much about the reading of the game and understanding of the game. And a lot of that comes with time and experience. When you first learn to drive, you learn how to drive properly to pass your test. But it takes years of driving experience to really understand and read the road, to anticipate, to see things before they happen, to understand what could happen. And it's only, you can be told, you can read books, you can watch videos, but until you experience it, it will never quite compute itself together. I think that's really, really important to remember. And both these young men are absolutely phenomenal. There's no doubt about it in terms of ability and for them to move forward. Joe's comment here from the Undertaker CFC, one of our new members from yesterday, says Chelsea don't need a defender if they all stay. Konate is very, very good. Yes, he is very, very good. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. Glazers out says both are injury prone. Is that true? And I don't know if it is. I'll begin check then. Let me go and check if that's actually true. It's a really good point. I'm going to put in injury record here and see what comes up. So Ibrahima's injury record. I mean, he has had a fair few injuries. To be fair, you're right about that. So in last season, he spent nearly 250 days out injured with torn muscle fiber. He had the same injury again early this season, which kept him out for another 96 days. And then recently had an ankle injury that kept him out for 50 days. So there's definitely been some injury problems there for the young 21. I mean, look at that. He was born May 25th, 1999. God, I feel so old. So definitely some injury problems there for Liverpool to consider. But for 40 million euros, is that worthwhile? Is it worthwhile taking that risk? Gangadeep here, my guy. Thank you for all the super chats, my bro. Says argument can be made that out of Konate and Upamecano, he is the better of the two. Problem is, Konate is injury prone. Yeah, as the previous individual has said. Do you know what's mad? I remember a few years ago, Gini Wijnaldum joined the Premier League and Memphis Depay joined the Premier League. And a lot of people from Holland and the Netherlands were telling us that Gini to Newcastle was the better move. Gini Wijnaldum will have a better career in the Premier League than Memphis. And everybody disregarded it and said, nah, 110% no, 110% no. But it turned out to be true. It turned out to be completely and utterly true. So it'll just be interesting to see how things operate and how things move forward in relation to that. Certainly from my point of view anyway, I'm very, very intrigued to see. Konate is another Bay. Could be in terms of the injury prone nature. There's no doubt about that. Adam here says Konate, Gomez, Keita, Shaqiri, Matip, injury hotel. I mean, yeah, I'm surprised with how many days he's been out injured. So basically, in the last 2 years, he spent over a year out injured. There is going to be concern in that. There is no doubt. Man, like Peter Butler, where you been, bro? I ain't seen you in ages. It says exciting for Liverpool. Glad to see them being proactive in what will be a very important transfer window. More options at centre-back is a must. Hopefully, we will see a number 9 this window as well. Welcome back, Peter. It's been a long, long time, bro. Man like Mr. Anthony in the house here, he says, Thiago Silva is renewing Terry, even though he is getting old. It is a great asset for us for next season. Tomori might return, and we also have Sarr, so I think we are okay for defenders. And that's a really good point. And maybe what you'll find when the dust settles is this. This is how transfer rumors are created. Maybe there's no decision over whether or not, maybe a month ago, they don't know whether Thiago's staying on. Thiago hasn't committed or they haven't made the offer. They're not sure if they want to keep him because of age. So Chelsea go into the market and they look at Upamecano, they look at Conde, they look at Konate. But then the situation at Chelsea changes and Thiago says, I'm going to stay. Maybe Chelsea say, listen, let's bring Tomori back. Let's keep Thiago. Let's keep watching the development, say, of Jules Koundé and maybe some others that are on our list, and we'll leave it for a year. Clubs operate like that all the time. You know, if, for instance, Haaland says, I'm not going to leave this summer, and Kane says, I'm giving Tottenham 1 more year, it may make sense for Manchester United to renew Cavani's deal if Cavani wants to stay, and we wait until the summer, rather than letting him go and then thinking, well, we bring in another makeshift for a year, which could be problematic, or we buy someone else. We'll turn it from those two. It's about planning. So you might see a transfer rumor really pick up pace, and then it dies because something internal changes, or a better target you find out is going to be available in a year's time, or is going to do 1 more year than put in a transfer request. And you're like, let's wait because it makes more sense in the medium to long term. It's a great super chat. Thank you very, very much indeed. Terry, what's the point of the international break? To play international football, bro. I hear you, though. It is painful. I do miss football. Let's do a few more comments here. Terry, would you take... I don't know who that player is. Who is he? People will say, you don't know ball if you don't know who he is. I'm probably going to search him and then be like, is he Swiss? Who's he play for here? Oh, I thought he plays for Mönchengladbach. Dennis Zakaria. I don't know enough about him, as I say. I really don't know who he is in terms of, I don't watch German football. I'll have a look. And then maybe in a week or so, you can ask me, but I don't watch him play. So it would be stupid of me to have an opinion on a player that I've never watched play or don't remember watching play in relation to that. No, I don't know him. I don't know him. I don't watch German football. So how can I? Like, it is what it is. If I honestly, because I don't watch German, like, European football regularly. Um, I don't really know a lot of the players that are over there, unless they're at clubs that are regularly in the Champions League that we're watching. It's just simple. I don't play computer. Like, when I used to play Football Manager, I knew a lot more of the young players coming through, because the computer game would normally put them down as wonder kids, and you'd learn about them, you'd research them, and then you'd develop an understanding in real life. I just don't do that anymore. So there's lots of players out there I'm going to never have heard of. It's as simple as that. I don't believe that the majority of you have watched the guy play on. I don't believe there's everyone who's going to watch this video. I think less than 10% watch Mönchengladbach play regularly. So I know I'm not the only one here. You might have heard of him, but yeah, that's about it. Ites here says Ousmane Dembele is coming to United. I'm not too sure about that one, Chief. I'm not too sure about that. I've seen people kicking off this morning that we didn't get him last year. Sometimes I despair at people. I really do despair. It's like, we wanted him on loan. Barcelona wanted to sell him on a permanent or put an obligation to buy in place. At the time, that was stupid business, because there was no way of knowing if his injury record and his injury problems would have cleared up. So if you get him on loan and pay a fee, and then you've got an obligation to buy, and he spends 150, 200 days of the season out injured, which isn't beyond the realms of possibility, you're then committed to a crock. Hindsight's lucrative. Oh, look, see, he didn't get injured. We should have done it. Yeah, but we had no idea of knowing. It's very easy after the fact to judge a situation. Making the decision in real time is where the skill's at. And that's why the majority of us sit in front of our keyboards and in front of cameras talking about it, and not actually out there making those decisions, because we don't have the capabilities to make those decisions, or the expertise to get ourselves even into a position where we can do that. So Ousmane Dembele, I think by what I've read, I've seen a few games, he's looked like he's had a really good season. I think it would have been stupid to have committed to him last year with that injury record. And I still think it may very well be. You know, he may have a good 18 months where he stays injury-free. I still think there's a potential big bad injury on the horizon for him, but we shall see. Football Talk says Zakaria is Swiss. I've watched him play many times. He is class, or Soucek to Liverpool with Renato Sanchez. That'll be interesting. Terry, people know players because of FIFA 21. Probably. It's probably where it comes down to. Let's see some more of these comments here. Dembele is a baller, but my guy, he is injury prone. He is absolutely injury prone. I mean, is he been injured this year? I don't even know, because I don't take it too seriously. I had someone say to me before, he's not that injury prone. He's had like 1 or 2 really bad injuries. I'm like, bro, that's injury prone, isn't it? Like, that's just what it is. I mean, he's had 22 days out this season, missed 5 games, which is pretty good. But last season, well over 200 days. The season before that, over 120 days. The season before that, over 130 days. Like, it's so on. This is his first season where he hasn't. Yeah, it would have been an absolutely ridiculous. It's very easy to use a decision now of not signing Ousmane Dembele to say, "See, we were wrong." But I still don't know if we are, because, you know, what if in the next 2 weeks his hamstring snaps again and he's out for another? Like, he had a hamstring injury. He's had 3 hamstring injuries in his career. 4 hamstring injuries, 3 of which on the same leg in his career, that have kept him out collective days for nearly over 300 days. Imagine having that bad a hamstring that you've missed 300 days. You missed a year of football because of a hamstring injury. It's a colossal risk in terms of fees and salaries to sign someone like that. Because if we sign him and then he gets the injuries, you'll also complain and say, why did we do that? So I think it's a player I just think you've got to avoid, for love nor money. For love nor money. Terry, don't you think things can change? Like what? Like his injuries, yes, but I want to see that prolonged. So I want to see a couple of years with no injuries. I want it, like, in terms of missing 30, 40 days plus. I want to see that before committing the money to him. I want to see it for a couple of years first before I would feel comfortable. That would be, or again, we don't have the access to this, but get the medical reports, the due diligence to say that, that's cleared up now. It was based on, Ryan Giggs speaks about his hamstring injuries, and a lot of it stems from him driving sports cars. The angle he was sitting at was putting strain on his hamstring. As soon as he stopped doing that and went back to like driving Range Rovers and Jeeps, his hamstrings cleared up. So if you find the reason why your hamstrings are breaking and you fix it, then cool. But until we know that's happened, and we don't know as fans, I wouldn't touch it. So until you can show me that it's changed, then I believe it's changed. Change doesn't come before the fact. You can't tell me you've changed until you've changed. It's just words. Oh, yeah, no, he won't get any more injuries. Cheers, bruv. He needs to check. And then you look at the deal. No doubt about it. Timothy here. Long time, Timothy. No, see, how you doing, bro? Says, will Man United finally get Sancho? Can't see Dortmund selling both Haaland and Sancho in the summer. I don't know. I don't know if Man United will get him anymore. That's based on Dortmund maybe not selling both in one summer. So Man United's inability to get deals done. So there's a combination of the two things which I think stand out massively here. I really, really do. If we get Berg, Renato Sanchez, Konate, Neto, Daka, that will be the best transfer window in recent years. I mean, that would be a very good transfer window, especially some of the latter players there. Daka, really good talent coming through. Neto's been killing it in the Prem. It's a lot of young players as well. That sort of summer would tell me my theory on FSG is true, that they want to win Premier League titles, but their model is to build teams, but they're happy for each new team to take three or 4 years to be built and get to its peak. And that isn't a bad model to have in this climate where the Chelseas and the Cities and the PSGs are going to dominate financially. That's how you have to do it. And then you build them up and you get 3 or 4 years of success. Maybe what you'd have probably liked to have seen as Liverpool is a couple of those players added last summer as well. But of course, I think Liverpool took a gamble last year. Like I said, let's not spend big and see if we can retain our title and then spend. Didn't quite pan out the way they wanted, but there we go. Terry, you should stay away from Sancho. He's a left winger, not a right winger. I hear what you're saying. Well, maybe. I'm really drawn towards Pedro Neto. I think he's amazing. Even though he's left-footed, he operates very, very well on that right-hand side. Do me a favor, people, and smash that like button for us right now. What's Sabitza's position? His SofaScore account is wild. He plays everything. I haven't really ever looked. I know he's a midfield player, but I've never really looked in terms of the areas that he takes up, the positions that he starts in, as an example. Like I say, I never really thought about it. I never really taken the time. I have a little look at. He's 27, So yeah, I mean, on transfer market, they have him in as a central midfielder, but he can play. Jesus Christ! Sorry, that's a bit of Julian Nagelsmann talking there. He can play on the right hand side. He can play right wing, according to this. I don't know. Attacking midfield, central midfield, but I'd say pretty much central midfielder is where I've seen him play. Or that's what I've interpreted his position as. Let's do a few. Terry, you can have Neto if Liverpool can have Rafinha. Rafinha is going to be hot. I think a lot of people want Rafinha as well. Rafinha is a really talented player. But we're going to go to the lines now. We're going to get you guys on to have your say. I'm going to share the link to call in on the Discord server. If you want to have your say, I'm going to put it in the general chat. I'm going to do that now. I want to hear from you. I want to know what you're thinking, feeling, saying, and all that jazz. We're also going to share the link in the chat here as well. Terry, Dembele was getting injured a lot because of the training sessions wasn't intense enough, and now it is. He hasn't been injured for a long time. Then if that's true, and I'm not disregarding it as being, if that's true, and if that's what the medical reports say, and that's what the due diligence tells us, then cool, get the deal done. But what you then need to ensure is that the intensity of the training sessions the club is going to are as intense as Barcelona's. If they're not, the report isn't worth the report isn't worth the paper that it's written on. So I hear you, but you need to, if you get where I'm coming from, all things need to add up in terms of that. We're going to go to one of our first callers. We're going to get Zane, who's a Liverpool fan on the show. Zane, welcome to the Terrace, mate. What are you saying?
Hi, Terry. Yeah, I was just going to say about Konate. I think it's a good move for Liverpool, to be honest. The injury record is very misleading, to be honest, because he had that one big injury, and the kind of stuff after that is kind of like, just the recovery after that. So, when you get a big injury, you don't get thrown straight back into, games right after that. And it's kind of, it's a bit more kind of acute than what it appears to be on paper for his injury record. So he's only really had that, and that's kind of similar to what Van Dijk had before joining us. He just had, he had one big injury, but after that, he kind of like didn't really have as much, and it's kind of a similar trend for Konate. So I think it'll be a really good gamble because the type of player he is and the potential that he has, and especially under a player like Van Dijk, he's one of the best centre backs that we've seen in the Premier League. So I'm pretty sure he can learn something under Van Dijk, and that's going to be a really good move for him. And to be honest, I think we maybe could have gone after like a Tapsoba who doesn't have as good of he has a better injury record. He's barely injured, but maybe he's not as big of as a potential player as Konate. And Liverpool, with their scouting, they go after the players that they want and the players that they have very specific details in their game for. So it's not like their second or third or first choice. They're very specific players.
Are you concerned though that it could be another player that suffers with injury? Is the injury record a concern for you?
Initially slightly, but I think with the centre backs that we'll have, I think it depends on, because you don't really rotate centre backs as much. But I think Klopp can do that with this type of centre backs that we'll have. If we keep Kabak and if we keep Gomez, I think Matip's definitely gone, and we'll sign Kabak as a replacement and Konate. I think if he kind of like he'll have to. This is where Klopp's management will have to come in, to see where he is. I think Keita also went under a similar thing where he worked on the weaknesses in his in his muscles and things like that, and he ever since then he's not played much, but he's looked stronger. He's looked fitter than I've seen before. So maybe we'll get a specialist doctor to kind of like work with him as well, like we've had with Keita and a couple of the other players. So I think it's a calculated risk Liverpool's going to take, and I think it's going to pay off. Due to how good I think Konate will be. I think he's a better centre back than Upamecano as well. I think Upamecano might have had like one or two kind of like really good performances against good sides, and it kind of it took the news to another level. Whereas Konate has kind of been under the radar because of that. And I think for the price, 35 million is nothing for potentially one of the best youngster centre backs. The others are going for like 50 million, 60 million. Look at Kunde; he's not going to go for very cheap. Pau Torres. There's loads of players of that quality. And they're going to go really expensive, 35 million, and not so injury record 50-50. But I think with everything, if you look at it, I think it's a good risk for Liverpool to take.
Yeah, I hear a lot what you're saying there, and I think there's the injury record could be an issue, but it might be something. Again, Liverpool.
There's a lot of nuance to it.
There is,
and injuries.
That's the only thing. I think it's a really good opportunity. Yeah. The profile of player Liverpool seem to be looking at is young, up and coming. People that are going to become stars as opposed to they are already stars, which seems to be the FSG kind of way. So it's going to be really intriguing to see what happens with that. Zane, great call. Great point.
Can I just add another point? Sorry. Quickly. This is actually just a point on United. I know a lot of United fans are talking about, Rice and a few other CDMs. I think Sabitzer will be a really poor move for him. Yeah, he's a centre midfield that's kind of average at what he does, and he's average at every other position. You need like a proper CDM. I think a type of Zakaria who's very, very similar to a Fabinho, and imagine Zakaria alongside a Pogba. He'll be able to clear that whole thing up, and it'll allow Maguire and Lindelof and Bailly, whoever plays, to be much better. I think Zakaria is the man you need to go after, and he'll help you in your attacking play as well. Breaking down these low block teams. So that's just another thing. I think Zakaria is definitely the man you need to go after.
Again, I'm gonna take your word for that, and I'm going to do a bit of research on this young man. It's just not a player that I don't watch the Bundesliga, and I don't play computer games, so I've not really heard of him. And, it's funny, it's like the pronunciation thing. My son is 6, and he can pronounce players' names better than me. It's because he plays FIFA, and he and I'm like, that's what I miss about playing a computer game, because that's how you say it. But listen, bro, I appreciate you coming on, having your say, mate. Speak to you again soon.
Thank
Cheers,
you. See you.
Thanks. Thank you. Smash that like and share button. The link to call in is on the Discord server and in the chat as well. There's a comment here that says, "Morning, Terry, morning. Hope you are well. And I really appreciate the work that you put on the football terrace. And I really think and hope Man United get Rice from West Ham and West Ham can have Lingard." I hear you on that. I'd love that to be the case. Terry, do you think training sessions and fitness crews affect players? Because you look at what happened to Eden Hazard. They can. Sometimes a training regime or the intensity that a team trains or plays at can impact an individual. As well, you have to look at the player. So Wayne Rooney's body started to fail him, in my opinion, because I don't think he looked after himself. I'm not talking played through injury, played with strains, because all players do that. I saw the stuff about Rashford playing with a stress fracture and some loose bone in his ankle. It's like, you think Rashford's the only player that's doing that? I would hazard a guess that injuries of that level that are manageable, that you can play through, I'm going to say 60% of professional football players are doing that every single day. And I might be undercooking it in terms of that. That's through my experience of being in sport and knowing that everyone in my gym had a bloody problem. Everyone was managing something so they could compete and do whatever. You have to look at the player as well. How do they take care of their bodies? Because if you spend the whole summer not exercising, drinking, eating the wrong foods, relaxing, your muscles and bodies change. Trust me, a lot of people are going to go back to the gyms in a few weeks, the older generation, and it's going to take them months to get back into the flow because your body starts to change. There's boxers who don't stay fit outside of fighting. They die out sooner because their bodies, it takes too much out of you to get back into shape. So say you put on loads of weight and your muscles relax and you kind of every summer, and then you have to work hard to get back into shape. The older you get, the more strain it takes out of you, the harder it is to do. And eventually your muscles and your body start breaking down. So yes, training and coaches are a big part of it, but athletes have to look at their self, their diets, their own exercise. How fit are they keeping? The foods, etc. So I think it's a bit of both in relation to that, no doubt at all. Strip Bear, good morning. Hope you're well. Twisted Bubba, I hear, is here. I can't wait to see what Twisted Bubba's questions are going to be today. I think he has a long list every day to see what obscure question he can ask Terry on the Terry. Let's get this stream past 250 likes, people. Let's get that done right now. Share it on your streams. Man like KJ's with us this morning. KJ, what's going on, bro?
No, not too bad, not too bad. It is international break. Had been that vibes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I hear you, bro. I hear you. It was a good show last. I actually watched all of it.
What? You stayed up? What on earth?
I was watching the whole thing. I was handed in a few bits of business, and I was listening. So it's a good show. I nearly came on about halfway through. I was like, I'm just going to jump in, and then I went tired, so I didn't. So I nearly jumped on, bro. But yeah, what do you make of this news this morning about Ibrahima? I want to say it right. Is it Konate?
Konate,
to Liverpool. Seems pretty legit.
Yeah, good defender. Obviously, all students wanted to report it, so you can't really argue the validity of the source because he's a very good source. He's a good defender. He's young. My question is, I know Liverpool needs centre backs. They've got Kabak on loan. I don't think they should complete the deal next season. I think they should let him go back to Schalke because, boy, I don't think that kid's ready, personally. Then you've got Ben Davies, who they signed from the Championship. I don't know if he's even played. They've got Nat Phillips and Reece Williams. They're not ready. So, yes, they're doing the right thing in targeting a centre-back because Matip would definitely also be leaving. There's no way that he'll be staying to play third fiddle and get injured all the time. So the question is, what kind of centre-back do you get? Do you get one that can overtake Joe Gomez and start with Van Dijk, or do you get one that's underneath and just cover if you're getting Konate, you're saying he can start over Joe Gomez. But the issue is, again, you've got an injury-stricken centre-back line, and you're going to try and solve it with another injury-stricken centre-back. It makes no sense. So that's the only concern. Other than that, they're doing the right thing in targeting the right area and the right profile of centre-back. Konate is quick. He used to play in a high line at Leipzig, and he will be, and he's physically strong. So the right profile, they're doing the right thing. They just, I don't know if they need another injury-prone player.
That would be, yeah. When I look at this type of thing, that's the only like worry. That'd be my only worry as a Liverpool fan is the guy going to be able to play? Like if he goes there and has the same level of injuries, it's going to be a major problem. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. We're going to throw some more callers onto the show now. We've got Itest actual son coming on now. What are you saying, mate?
Yeah, Terry, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. What's on your mind?
Listen, on the Konate news, I think it's just a Bailly part 2.
Injury-wise, you mean?
Yeah, since the start of this season, he's been out for 149 days. That's mad if you take into it.
No, I hear you, bro. The injury element is a massive concern. I mean, why do you think Liverpool are willing to take that risk? Do they know something we don't?
No, I think they just need another centre back. But on my point though, let's say Van Dijk and Joe Gomez come back this season and they send that cutback guy. That's 5 centre backs they have, and then you have that guy from Preston. So how many centre backs are there? And obviously, them centre backs they need game time, so I don't know how they're going to split between them.
Listen, I think the way I look at it is Van Dijk go. If these signings are done and everybody's fit, Van Dijk, Gomez, and Konate, they will be the main 3. I think. What's the lad? Quebec will be the 4th. I think the Nate Phillips of this world and these guys, they'll be moved out. Like they're almost gone already. Does that make sense? Like they'll be gone. Matip's gonna go, so they'll be the 4 main centre backs. You've obviously got that. I want to say, was it not Ben White? Ben Davis. He'll be involved. He'll be like back up to the backup, if that makes sense. That's going to be the crux of it to me. That's how it'll be done. But it's also about seeing how Gomez and Van Dijk respond to their injuries, if that makes sense, because you could find yourself in a situation where they're not fully recovered. Do you get where I'm coming from? There could be that point of maybe they're just not the same players, and you need to start looking beyond that. And I think it's the right thing for Liverpool to do for Gomez to give him competition, because you want Quebec and you want Konate to come in and say, listen, I know you're the number 2 next to Virgil, but we're going to come in and push you for it. You need that competition. Look what's happened with Liverpool's attack, because it's become stale, because there's no genuine competition. You need to add that into the mix. Man like Ram's with us now as well. Ram, morning, mate. What you saying, bro?
Yeah, not too much, man. I've heard the rumors about Ibrahima Konate for a long time. I rate him so highly, but it's the injuries. The injuries is my main concern. Him and it was if I was going to pick between Upamecano or Konate over talent wise, I'll pick Konate, but the guy just doesn't stay on the field that long. That's why he's not got the move that he so rightly deserves. Like you said, I think he'll definitely be pushing the other 2 centre backs, Virgil and Gomez. But ideally, I'd rather not have him because of the injuries, because we've already seen what happened with Matip. He's a class centre back, but the guy gets injured all the time. So I don't want to have that. It's going to be a catch-22 if that happens. So I don't think it's ideal for us to go in for him.
Okay. I mean, interestingly though, so Ornstein's fairly credible, as KJ's already said, and I think that things can change. Things can change overnight, but this deal looks like it's going to. This looks almost a certainty from this point. So it doesn't. I mean, Liverpool couldn't have. What do you make of Liverpool's decision making on this then? Because there's no way Liverpool would have gone this far down the line just to suddenly say, "Oh, didn't realize he had bad injuries." They must know.
They must know, but I honestly don't. They've been scouting a load of players. They scouted Botman, They scouted Per Schuurs from Ajax, but if they think that this is the guy, I think they have to think twice about it, because especially with our system and the way and the intensity that the players have to play in, I don't think the guy will be able to cope. If he can't cope at Nagelsmann's system, I don't think he can cope at Klopp's system. It's as simple as that. And if he does get injured, FSG needs some criticism. It's as simple as that.
Anybody else's thoughts on that?
Obviously the release clause fits what Liverpool would be looking at. 40 million is reported around the price for the release clause. So that's definitely a Liverpool price, you know what I'm saying? So they're getting a good price for the player, but they must clearly believe they can manage the injuries well enough. They clearly believe that they can either help him sort it or help prevent those injuries from occurring so regularly. So yeah, if Liverpool believe that, as a Liverpool fan, all you can do really is kind of trust them. I know this season they've lost a bit of trust with Liverpool fans. I'm talking about FSG here, but they're it's one of those ones where like their record gave them some money in the bank. It just depends how much money is left in there for Liverpool fans to trust what they're doing right now. Because I understand that some trust has been lost from this season.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree completely. It's just, I suppose as well, with all the other players that had with injury problems, it really stands out in their minds. We're going to add to the call here. Oh, Mr. Anthony's with us. What you saying, bro?
Hey Harry, what's up?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. What's on your mind?
First things first, big up to my guy Dillian White for knocking the living shit with him on Sunday. That's number one on the list. And about Konate, it's good, isn't it, if they buy another injury-prone player? Better for us, to be honest. That's how I look at it. They'll have a liability for the rest of the season, like Keita and stuff like that. However, I would think clubs like for an example, like if Chelsea was actually going to go for him, I don't think we would be shy enough to not spend 40 million. We spend 70 on Kepa, who is the worst. So for us to not spend on him,
Do you think Chelsea will look for another centre back?
I think maybe we might, because of Thiago Silva being an aging player. However, as I told you before, he has decided apparently to sign the extension, which is good news for us. However, I would say I think maybe somewhere like in January we might sign a centre back, or we might get Fikayo back from AC Milan and then put him like in with Thiago to learn a lot of things. That's how I look at things. However, I don't see the defense being a major issue for us at the moment, because we have so many defenders. So many defenders.
I don't know, man.
Hey, Terry, can I ask?
Yeah, go on, mate.
Now, do you see the centre backs Chelsea have right now? Christensen, Rudiger, Thiago Silva's probably gonna go next summer. Do you rate any of them defenders?
Individually, to be honest, in a back four, I don't trust them. I think Aspilicueta is old. He's not the Aspilicueta that we saw in 2012, 2013, 2014. He was one of the best one-on-one right backs or left backs. He could play in either, and he would just do a good job. I think Ben Chilwell is a much more better defender as a left back, not left wing back. However, it depends on how Tuchel thinks of how he's going to play next season. We really don't know. This guy's like mega mind, you know what I mean? He thinks about random stuff for the next game. However, Rudiger is not good enough back four, but a back three really suits our defenders. So I think that it plays to our defenders' strengths and takes off like their weaknesses off of them, and everyone else covers it up for them. Like for an example, we know that Christensen is not very good one-on-one. However, Rudiger, like he does it. But when it comes to ball distribution, Christensen
No,
and Christensen.
I hear
Also,
Okay,
in
Jay.
terms of Chelsea buying a centre back, ain't they got Sarr coming back from loan from Porto?
Exactly.
So,
That's another thing. Malang Sarr is coming back from Porto at the end of the season as well. So we got another one there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think Thomas Tuchel's influence on this will be important as well in terms of what he thinks of said individuals, whether he's going to be playing with 3 at the back, 4-4-2, etc. Mr. Anthony, really appreciate you coming on, having your say. Really appreciate that, bro. Thank you very, very much indeed. Same as yourself, I test actual son, not I test. Thank you for coming on, bro. Really appreciate that, bro. Thank you, mate. We're going to go to some more calls here. Next, we've got Mansour Ahmed on the show with us here. We've got a super chat first. Actually, why are FSG in for some criticism if Coyote gets injured? Ram, awful statement.
how's that an awful statement? If you sign an injury-prone player, you're gonna get some criticism if he gets injured. It's as simple as that. If he gets injured in a Nagelsmann system, in my opinion, how can he cope in a Klopp system? Klopp system is a little bit more intense. Like, it's as simple as that. Like, we scouted Botman. You could even get Varane if you wanted to. But why are we going for a guy that's injury prone? That's my opinion. I think if he gets injured, that's FSG's fault. It's as simple as that.
I hear you on that. Monsour's with us here. What you saying, bro?
Hi. Firstly, I want to apologize to KJ because I missed Midnight Vibes yesterday. This is what happens when this is what happens when it's international break. You just forget about football in total in general, anyway. But yeah, in terms of Konate, I'll just say Kanute for some reason, but Konate, I understand your point, Ram. He is injury prone, but you gotta understand he is still a young player. I mean, the issue is we think we're buying for 40 million and we have to start him straight away. We do not have to start him straight away. We can develop his we could develop him. We can make him more physically stronger. We can increase his chance of not getting injuries in the future. The case of that we have to start him because we paid £40 million. The case that we don't have to. Once we get a fully squad back, we can still play with Van Dijk and Gomez. One thing you got to understand, Ram, is that in Nagelsmann's system, yes, you're right. He's playing with Upamecano, who again is a young defender. He comes up playing with Van Dijk at the side. He'll gain more experience on how to defend more efficiently instead of having to play that intense that he does in a Nagelsmann situation. That's what I think. Getting a Konate, it's there for the long term. We don't have to start him straight away. We can develop him. We can get him to be better. Give him another year, 2, he will become a class player. And who knows, the injury might get less. And for me, I think it'll be a good buy. That's what I think.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
It's going to be. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, Monster, on that point, I completely get what you mean, but in 2006 we signed Daniel Agger, who was a very, very talented player, but the reason why he didn't fulfill that potential was because he got injured all the time. I don't want that to happen. Like we saw with Matip as well. He's made out of bricks.
The thing is, it's just a big guy. It's just a big risk, and it's a risk that maybe that has to be taken. It is what it is. I suppose it's just one of them. I suppose you could look at it this way. I swear Joe Gomez in his time at Liverpool has already had 2 major injuries.
Yeah.
Three.
So again, you've got someone that, and so I get what it is. I mean, look, you can sign someone that's had no injury record. They join your club and then they start getting injured. You can sign others. Man United signed Van Persie after he had terrible with injuries. And then he had like 3 or 4 really good years. One at Arsenal, then at United, where he wasn't injured anywhere near the same level. It can happen like that, but the proof will be in the pudding. Super chat here says FSG are not signing him. That's Klopp, Gordon, and
okay. Wait. So wait. So if FSG are not signing them, surely people who were screaming FSG out should be Klopp out then, and Edwards out. You know what I'm saying? Like, they are culpable for these signings. I don't see how you can deflect from FSG. Because when you guys weren't signing the centre back, all I heard was FSG are not doing this. They're not giving us the funds. They don't want to do X, Y, and Z. So now that looks like they're about to spend peas, it's no longer their fault.
Well, I think it depends, though, doesn't it? Danny here says Ram stop deflecting from Klopp. It would be his fault. The point, if they're not giving them money, it's FSG. But if they give them the money to sign a player, and Klopp and Edwards settle on Got his name.
Konate.
They settle on Konate, and then he has all these injury problems. That's not FSG. They've gone, listen, you guys, because the way it looks is that FSG give that anonymity. They're not coming in as businessmen saying we know more about football than you. We're gonna like veto this transfer, and you've got to sign this guy and whatnot. They're giving the power to Edwards and to Klopp. So if they give them the money, no money, yes, it's on them. But if they've given them the money and they buy the wrong player, that's on the manager and Edwards.
To confirm this structure, because I'm just used to United's lads doing what they're doing. It FSG are only there for P's. They give the P's to when they release the money, they just go to Edwards and his team and Klopp and be like, you guys spend this how you would like.
Essentially,
yes.
yes.
They give them they give the board. Sorry, I meant the board. I apologize. The board. They give the board a budget, and the board has to work with that budget. That's why we didn't sign a lot of players when we won the Champions League, because they didn't give us any money.
Okay. So when you get P's, FSG are no longer at fault. Cool.
Yeah.
It'll be Edwards' fault then, because
So
my man
where it goes back to a board is this way around. Let's just say Edwards keeps buying the wrong players, getting in the wrong managers, but FSG just keep giving him the money. That's when you look at FSG and it's like, are you guys not watching what's happening here? So that's where Man United are. People look and go, but the board give the money. Yes, but it's where the money's then spent. That's the issue. And then you've made no changes. Now, yeah, so we don't need to go over ground on that. We're going to throw in. Thank you, Monster, for coming on, mate. Really appreciate that, young man. Top man. Next up, Ahmed is on the show. Bayern Munich fan. What you say? Obviously, you may watch him a lot more. You may watch him a lot more because you actually watch the Bundesliga, not like FIFA players that just know these players because they've got the good colored cards.
Good.
How good is he? Is he better than Upamecano? And is he a risk with his injury problems?
Hey guys, how are you guys?
Yeah, all good.
What I would say is, I wouldn't say he's better than Upamecano. I'd say he's a better pure defender, as in, in the air he's fantastic. He's 6'4". He's extremely strong. In his 18-19 season, I would have said he is the best young centre back in the league by far. Then he tore his muscle fiber, and it was terrible. And then he came back. I don't know if he retore it, but then he missed 200. I think it was 200 days. Came back, tore it again, and now has an ankle. Now he has an ankle issue. His biggest issue is just being fit. It's not exactly an injury. He's not injury prone. He just had one big injury, and it kept on going. But in terms of him as a defender, he is fantastic. Like, he is a very, very good defender. The question is, has the injuries affected him physically?
Yeah. So you're a Bayern Munich fan. Let me ask you this question: if you were about to drop, well, you're pretty much buying Upamecano.
We bought him, yeah.
That's done. It's confirmed. Actually, you're right.
Yeah.
Do you think, all things being equal, football ability, defensive ability, injury issues, have you got the better deal, or would you prefer Ibrahima?
With Konate, with Upamecano, he's a fantastic ball-playing centre-back. He didn't show against Liverpool in the first leg, but that's what he does in the Bundesliga. His ball-playing is absolutely tremendous. I think he's actually the best ball-playing centre-back in the Bundesliga statistically. And then he's extremely, extremely fast. So all things considered, with how high we play and how we rely on our centre-backs to distribute the ball, he is better for us than Konate. And I say that with Konate, it's weird. It's extremely weird with him, because you take the risk of one amazing season and then 2 years of being out, and at the point where I think Leipzig wants to cut the losses. They're worried about two centre-backs to take Upamecano's place and just take the fact that Konate is always injured out of the equation.
And I think that's a really good point you make there. Again, that's your view, because obviously you hear this is when we're actually consuming the Bundesliga, not just watching games. I think you listen to a lot more of the content and what's being created, what people are saying. That would be my concern. We've had callers today say he could be Eric Bailly 2.0, and that's my view on Eric Bailly. If Eric Bailly was fit 90% of the time, you would be looking right now at one of the best centre backs in the Premier League, because he can play. He's athletic. He reads the game. He's wonderful in the challenge. He's good in the air. He's aggressive when he needs to be. But the problem is he's out too often. And I think fans need to sometimes understand that sometimes a club looks to move a player on or doesn't start them or play them regularly, not because they don't recognize their talent, but because they just have this underlying feeling that there's almost no point building a system that incorporates you in it, because we think over the course of the medium term, a 3 or 4 year period, you're going to miss 2/3 of it, which we might as well put our eggs in another basket. Liverpool, on the other hand, they may think our training regime, our medical team could solve these problems, maybe, because that's the only thing that would make sense to me, because clearly RB Leipzig want to cut losses because of his injury problems. Liverpool then buying him, they must think they can fix it.
What I would say with that is it's a muscle injury, though. He tore his muscle fiber completely. So will he ever get back to where because we haven't seen him regularly since. They've had 2 or 3 centre backs in front of him already. Like, he is now behind the centre back rotation, even when he comes back. So really, is he the same player? Because we haven't seen him since. But in the 18-19 season, I would have said he was better than Upamecano. But the question is, what does this do with Kabak?
I personally think Kabak is. I think he might stay and be the 4th choice centre back. Honestly, I think him and Konate might work together, because Konate would be that. Because when I watched him in 18-19, like you said, he was commanding. He was a leader. He was a proper leader, and I think him and Upamecano were very, very good together. Him and Orban as well. Him and Kabak, I think it might work. So I personally think Kabak might stay. And I hate to see it. I hate to say this, but Nat Phillips might go to Burnley or something like that for 50
Listen, I think Nate Phillips, the writing is on the wall. Without even being disrespectful, it is, and he's done well stepping up. Listen, everyone who's tuned in this morning, a massive thank you to each and every single one of you. We're back later on today with some big Man United news and some other bits and pieces as well. And of course, by the middle of the week, we're going to start building up to return of the Premier League. Champions League is back next week as well, so we start previews. It's going to be the next few weeks is going to be amazing. There's so many great games, so many great moments are going to happen. There's going to be trials, tribulations. The big announcements coming soon as well. Turn this up. The big announcements coming soon. Stay tuned, people. The announcement is nigh. It's coming. I can't wait. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's going to be amazing. Micah here says Liverpool also favourites for Dennis. How's it pronounced? Is
Zakaria.
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 Moving mad. Yeah. I don't. Again, I say this to people all the time. I don't consume other leagues, so unless I've watched and studied a player, and I will do with that. With that Dennis, I'm gonna say Dennis for now until I learn to pronounce the name properly. I actually just need to start playing FIFA, and then all the names will be said to me, and then I'll sound like I'm really knowledgeable. That's what I'm going to have to start doing, I think. Simple as that. Well, with my new announcement, I'm going to have a lot more time, so maybe start watching a few more leagues will be the good thing. Nate Phillips is the GOAT. Look, he's done well, but they're gonna look beyond him, no doubt. Everyone who's tuned in, thank you. Take care. Goodbye. God bless, and we'll see you all again